I'm not going to read through the entirety of this comment if you didn't see it, but basically expressed that, yes, we spent hours on the phone. I was very supportive, 100% supportive. Didn't express doubt. This is all true. This is all true. Okay? These statements are all true. We had long conversations. I was trying to be the best friend to him that I could be. I was trying to be supportive because up to that point, I had never had a reason ever to doubt the truthfulness or thinking for even a second that I would be told anything that was in the slightest way even possibly deceitful or wrong or incorrect. 100% just trusted everything I was hearing to be truth. So as I was receiving more information, things were still didn't fully add up in my brain. But again, nothing I'm going to really talk to him about because I was trying to just process everything. I was believing everything I was hearing. He texted me about Pastor Robinson, but there really wasn't a whole lot of discussion there at all. It was just he told me about that he had a vote of no confidence, which I said, yeah, that sucks. And I did say I wasn't surprised about that either. And there's a good reason for that too, is just because I know Pastor Robinson pretty well, and over the years he's been kind of distanced himself a little bit in general from new IFB stuff. So that wasn't a big shock to say that he had that vote of no confidence to me. So that was why I said that. And then he brings up 4 days later that without talking to him and letting him know anything had changed. Now, it wasn't like, and those of you that are here know this, at least if you've been coming here and kind of going through this whole thing, people have been asking me questions, you know where my heart has been, and you know what the story's been too. I have never said anything against Pastor Anderson in anything that was happening. Like I wasn't going around and telling anyone one thing. Everything that I shared was public, at least, behind the pulpit. People were asking my opinion. I said, no, we ought to judge righteously, which is what that sermon was about, judging righteously, being able to hear, the sides of the story. When there's serious accusations, this isn't just something minor. This was a pretty big deal. So I wanted to hear things for myself. So, that time frame also in between these dates where all of a sudden, you say I preached 2 sermons that were negative toward me, and again, without going into detail, said that were negative towards him, but the sermon in the morning was judging righteous judgment. Okay, so sermon on judging righteous judgment was negative towards him somehow. He has his reasons, I guess, for why it was negative towards him, but really, I don't know what to expect. I was kind of frustrated with a lot of things that were going on and being said online and the way that people were dealing with things, right? So it wasn't about him. I didn't call him out by name one time in that sermon. I referenced a bunch of different things just sort of in a generic sense because there have been a lot of things going on all different sides of people saying really harmful things, and I think that's inappropriate for the way that people should be dealing with matters. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know why it was taken so negatively, but it was. And then the evening sermon is even more baffling to me as to how that can be seen as something negative towards him, because I literally preach a sermon against beating your wife, against spousal abuse, against domestic Christian discipline, whatever that thing's called, right? How is that negative against you? I don't understand. I said at the very beginning of the sermon, I'm not saying any allegations are true or anything, but this is just an issue that ought to be dealt with, and here's what I think about it. So if that's against you, are you admitting that sermon is about you? I mean, I don't understand. So to me, that was just kind of weird. And also, mind you, in this same time frame is the same time that Miriam put out a video and he doxed his brother. Those are pretty significant events that happened. And yes, my intent was to call him on that Saturday. And I ran out of time because I got a lot of things going on. And I also talked to his sons, which I needed to do in order to confirm things that I didn't think were addressed in the videos, and I wanted to know, and I wanted to hear their side. So yeah, I wasn't able to try to talk to him until October 1st. And to which I was greeted, I think I already talked about this, but with a whole tirade of F-bombs about me and how my sermons were a bunch of garbage or whatever. So he wants to quote all of these things, but I would say, why don't you just share the entire conversation of text too? You could get it all in context. I'm okay with that. You can share my conversation, but I don't think those things are necessarily appropriate. So the end of this is really where I was a little taken aback. He's free to have his own opinion, of course. Saying that I was 100% positive and then preached 2 derogatory sermons, which you could go back and listen to those sermons and you tell me if they were derogatory. If I even mentioned his name one time, if I even implied that I was derogatory. Now, I might have made a reference about some things, like I said, being done online that I didn't like. I didn't like the doxing of his brother, that was for sure. Because that was also disingenuous. I mean, you talk about, he says, I'm disingenuous and a fake friend, but what's disingenuous is refusing my help that we offered weeks earlier to go seek out and see if his daughter was still staying with his brother and to go see if she's still working. We offered that service before he called the internet goons to go and harass him and do the same exact thing, weeks prior. So yeah, that kind of stuck out as a big red flag to me, as someone's being not very sincere in the concern of the safety of their daughter, as opposed to just retaliating and going on the attack against somebody. And I think that's just despicable. So I didn't appreciate the behavior, yet I still reserved my judgment until I had a chance to talk to him. But did I really get a chance to talk? No. And you want to compare me to Job's friends? Be my guest, okay? But you could ask anybody. I have not spoken a bad word, and I made my statement, which I still stand by, and what really upset him is I preach a sermon called A Faithful Friend. Now, am I going to stand here and say I'm the perfect faithful friend, I'm the perfect friend? No, I'm not. I have my own mistakes and my own faults too. But I'm not afraid to admit that. Okay, I tried my best, and I believe all the things I preached on Sunday. I tried to have a conversation and really wasn't allowed to have a conversation. So it is what it is, okay? I think most of you here know that, but just in case there was any uncertainty or you read one side of a story, this is exactly what I was trying to illustrate in my sermon about judging righteously is, hey, there's 2 sides, right? I have my perspective on the order of events and how things happened, and he could have his perspective on how everything's going down, right? His perspective is he's done nothing wrong. That's not my perspective, but that's his perspective, so I get it. And I'm not even angry, to be honest with you. And the other thing is, I haven't been listening to anything he's been saying because I didn't really want to get involved in this back and forth type of a thing. It's not very appropriate. I wanted to make a statement. I was actually wanting to make a comment on a different video. But again, I'm pretty busy. I've got a few things going on in my life. I work a full-time job, right? It's not always like I can't just jump on the drama on the internet right away. And literally, this was the best time that I was thinking that I have to be able to make any type of a statement is during the announcements at church. So I am really praying that this is the last time I even have to speak about the matter because I just kind of want to be done with it and move on. It's none of my, it's whatever happens, happens. I've already said my piece, and I feel like as a church, we're moving forward. So anyhow, if you have any other questions about that, feel free to talk to me. I don't mind giving any explanation to what I say or what I do or whatever. But I still encourage to not get involved in the fighting and the drama and the back and forth and stuff. I don't think it's profitable for anything. So my request is still to try to refrain from all of that, because I don't see how anyone will be benefited from it. I already see people who are trying to make big battles, and friendships seem to be being lost. And you know what? If the way I look at it, and you take this for what it is, if people are going to turn their back on you, and like to me, like I'm going like, what was my crime and what was my sin and what did I do? My kids aren't the ones bringing accusations against me. I'm not, like this isn't, what did I do? I'm just trying to judge a situation the way I see it and stand on my convictions. But if people want to stop being friends over something like that, how good of a friend are you anyways? I mean, literally just over someone's opinion. What does that do to you? But it is what it is. So I've said my piece. We're going to continue with our church service. I'm going to ask Will to please come up here and lead us in our next song.